Our intrepid explorer begins his descent into the unknown.
I grew up in Mandeville. I moved over here like when I graduated high school, and ended up going to film. I went to Loyola, New Orleans, and did the production track here, and then went to New York Film Academy for like a small 6-week program. Then we moved out to Los Angeles and went to Loyola Marymount for grad school, and yeah. So and then moved back here after grad school because it wasn't a lot of work in LA. There is, but not for people like us. Nathan Tape, director, filmmaker, Vessel, Hi Honey, etc. Well, one of the reasons I wanted to come back here was the access to the kind of ability of anybody to kind of just start making movies here. You know, work in the industry. I work in the industry. Got to meet a lot of people here, find out a lot of kind of making a lot of new connections to possibly be able to make my own films. I started by doing still photography, did that, and then kind of got into cinematography. And it was, whenever you can kind of like, you can read a meter and expose something kind of decently, then people are always asking you to do that. And here it's, what happened was this feature I ran against us. A friend of mine who I work in the industry with asked me if I wanted to shoot it, and I did, and it came out, looking really great. And so there's a lot of those kind of smaller opportunities happening in New Orleans, and I know Baton Rouge and just kind of Louisiana area. There's a lot of opportunities for young people to just start, really homegrown filmmaking from kind of the ground up. It is kind of frustrating because you're here and you work on movies like, I probably shouldn't say any actual names of movies, but big budget action movies starring wrestlers, and I worked on that one for like 3 months, and it's like, this is horrible, you know what I mean? This is garbage. But it's in New Orleans, and it's like, I also, worked on K-ville for a while, which was of course the worst of all those things, with the fucking gumbo parties and that kind of stuff. And so it's like, it is kind of frustrating that you're kind of working on all these things, and these kind of douchebags from LA are making these movies that don't really represent the city in any real interesting, real way, and I do think that this city is ripe for a story to be made here that's really interesting and good. If fucking, like a little like indie movie with like some real heart and story behind it. Hi Honey is actually based on a couple years ago. There was in Baton Rouge, there was a guy they called the serial snuggler, and he would break into girls' houses, clean up their apartments, and then lay down next to them and go to sleep and snuggle with them. And that was it. That's all he wanted. He didn't try and sleep with them. He wasn't, that was it. And they would wake up really freaked out, but it was kind of weird because he was handsome. He was like a baseball player at LSU. Kind of gave them everything they kind of wanted, like everything a lot of girls want. So Hi Honey was basically about that. And then Vessel is another short that I did here, shot most of it in Hammond, Slidell, out on this big abandoned boat. And it's this big, destroyed kind of abandoned boat. And then the other half I shot in Los Angeles, and that was my senior thesis at film school at Loyola Marymount. And that was pretty wild. I mean, we did a lot of underwater photography. Did shot 35 underwater. Did the largest Hydroflex student order ever in the history of Hydroflex. So yeah, it was a little big. It was a little crazy. But yeah, that's basically these two friends go to a boat, and one of them ends up deciding he wants to go down underwater and see what's under the water, and he kind of gets surprised a little bit. So.
Timecode NOLA.com.
Timecode NOLA.com.
Crescent City. 8mm.
Independent. Timecode NOLA.com.
Video.
Log on to www.timecodenola.com. You heard me?
Timecodenola.com.
I need you to say that you forgive me.
are gonna leave Mary alone, all right?
Barry, when did you get out of prison?
I need you to tell me that you forgive me. Just
I have
for 1
no
minute.
desire to speak with you. Ever.
I feel like I missed everything.
I was born and raised in New Orleans, and I've been living here for 18 years, all my life.
What they don't see, what they don't pay attention to is the damage inside of you.
You know, my kids grew up here. And we were happy. We were overjoyed. But now, I don't know.
Mid-City is located in the center of New Orleans metropolitan area, about midway between the Mississippi River and Lake Pontchartrain. Homes were built along the city's main artery, Canal Street, from downtown New Orleans out to the cemeteries. Streetcars ran on Canal Street's neutral grounds until 1964, when buses replaced them. Shortly before Hurricane Katrina, the streetcar line resumed service along Canal Street.
People are grounded to this spot for some reason. It's a very magical spot as far as combining cultures and jazz and music and food that just, you know, you can't just pick it up and move it.
I've been in New Orleans over 20 years. Well, I've seen this city capture people on vacation and never let them go except to go home and get their stuff. And they've had to move back, and they've been here for 20, 30 years since.
It wasn't the hurricane that hurt us. It was the federal government that destroyed us. The levee system destroyed us. Haphazard, cut the budget, save money so they can have their pet projects, and they let a city be destroyed. That's what killed New Orleans, right there.
A lot of people, especially a lot of the older people, I think have died since the hurricane because of the lack of response, the lack of the federal government helping, and I think that it's broken a lot of people's hearts. And, you know, I mean, I think that that's probably the largest travesty, you know, since the hurricane.
We have $100,000 worth of damage to our house, but that's moderate in these days.
The damage is not just necessarily physical. The damage reaches beyond that because it is not just things, it's people. That's what makes it difficult for me personally to see the struggle, not just us, but to see the struggle around us. Everybody trying to keep up with the situation, come out of it, at least back to normal. And that is a challenge.
5.5 to 6 feet of water for 11 days will just about kill anything. I came home to 7 different colors of mold, small frogs, and everything that was on the first floor was out the front door.
When the hurricane hit, we had maybe 3 feet of water, and the water didn't even get into our house. And the water went totally down. I was walking the streets looking at the damages, and everything was okay. The streets were dry. And then like 3 hours later, the water started coming up, and it just caught everybody off guard. I went across the street, and there's a 2-story house across the street, and I kicked in their door, and me, my mother, and my grandmother went up to the 2nd floor of the house across the street, and then my neighbor stayed also, and me and my neighbors, when I got my neighbors, we went upstairs across the street, and we stayed there for like 2 days and 3 nights. Then that morning, the people that stayed across the street, their neighbors, they had a little boat, and me and my other neighbor, we paddled and brought my family to the levee, came back, got his family, brought his family to the levee, and then that's why I was under the highway, and I was there for a day and a night, and then that morning we caught the bus and they brought us to Texas.
Shortly after the levees gave way in Lakeview and the lower 9th Ward, floodwaters found their way into Mid-City. While limited sections of the neighborhood had relatively minor flooding, other parts, especially closer to the Broadmoor area, had anywhere from 4 to more than 6 feet of water.
My son was a detective in St. Bernard Parish, and he called me after the hurricane. He said, "Daddy," he said, "everything is fine." When I was talking to him, I talked to him on the cell phone. And he was standing at the courthouse in St. Bernard, which is a raised building, I guess 15, 16 feet up. And he was on the ground floor, and we're talking. And I heard a boom, and he was gone. I got him about 3 hours later, and I said, "Son, what happened to you?" He said, "Daddy," he said, "I heard a boom." And he said, the next thing I knew, the water was on my behind at the top of the steps, 15 feet up. He said, that's how quick it came in.
Our house is about 4 feet off the ground. Our street got 7 feet of water, so we got about 3 feet of water inside the house. Our neighbors who stayed here said that after the hurricane, there was water on the street, but it started rising increasingly. When we first came back into town, which was like 3 weeks after the storm, there was still water all over our streets, and it stunk so bad. I've never smelled anything like this before.
Like a foot deep of water just in the street,
yeah.
Not in the house.
Not in the house.
And I think it had just been out of the house a very short time.
Yeah, maybe a couple days.
Wet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was awful. The place looked wrecked, and there was sludge and all types of stuff in our house. But the smell was, I can't even describe what the smell was. It was
chemical, mold,
like
sewage.
Yeah, and also like if you ever smelled like a raw chicken and you like left out in the sun for days, and you come along it, that's what it kind of smelled like.
Mid-City has always been an eclectic neighborhood. Small businesses mixed with single-family homes and rental units. Many of the residents of Mid-City were renters, and the destruction of so much housing stock contributes to the shortage of affordable housing in New Orleans.
The damage done by nature is not so much compared to the damage done by man. It's a huge error here. A lot of arrogance, I would say, on part of those in charge of making decisions, saying that we're safe. And what they do is they take the money or the power or whatever, the time and ideas, and do the wrong things. And I think this is a cleaning process where hopefully those guys in charge of taking care of the city will do the right thing for once. Because it's embarrassing, it is sad that we had to suffer the way we suffer just because some people were not professional enough to take care of business the right way.
We kind of live in a frontier town. We get excited when our Walgreens is open till 9 p.m. We're excited when we find out the Save-A Center is open until midnight. There's still no Taco Bell in New Orleans, though. I'd like to lodge a complaint. I would really like a Taco Bell to open. We get out of town every now and then because you have to take a vacation and know there's a real world. And we just, every day we do a little bit more, the things we can control. We are absolute control freaks, but we also realize that you can eat dessert first. It's given us that. The small pleasures are what really count.
I feel as though the media really does focus on the wrong thing most of the time. Well, not most of the time, but a good bit of the time. They feed on, the violence. That's what, oh, I gotta get the big story. But everybody isn't out there gang banging. And like when the hurricane went on, they were focusing on people looting and stuff. But at the same time, when they were videotaping these people looting, where were they? They should have been helping other people, get out the city while the water's rising. But then boats, and helicopters videotaping the wrong stuff.
Homeowners began gutting their damaged homes almost immediately, many living in FEMA trailers while making repairs. Some were residents of other parts of the city who lost their homes and moved into less damaged properties to rebuild their lives. So many obstacles make rebuilding a challenge. For example, there are limited services like electricity and water throughout the city, and an overwhelmed city permitting office struggles to keep up with requests. Moreover, a shortage of carpenters, laborers, and contractors have forced many people to rebuild their homes on their own, while attempting to work through the red tape and hold down full-time jobs.
I thought that this area and Lakeview was the tax base for the city. And my thinking behind that was that if one levee won't fail, it won't be the 17th Street Canal or the levees surrounding this area, because this is where the tax base for the city is. This is where we pay the most property taxes. So I felt comfortable coming here saying that this will never happen again, not in this area. But the way things are going now, I don't know. I unfortunately believed the politicians here that they were going to do everything possible to get us back and to get us whole. And quite the contrary. It's the same old story, rip the middle class off. The federal government has promised us and promised us and promised us to help us out, nothing. The state government has promised us to help us out, nothing. The city has promised to help us out, nothing. All we hear is rhetoric. And, we don't know. The Corps of Engineers, that's the federal government. And we can spend billions of dollars in Iraq rebuilding cities for them to blow up, but you have the most beautiful city in the world that they can't do nothing for. It's amazing. They want to fight over what you're going to get, who's going to get it. By the time we get it, it'll be all over. I'm 60 years old.
Even now, sitting in this total mess of a house, I feel at peace and I feel at home, and I feel like I'm camping out wherever else I'm staying. Even though, it's going to be a while before we can come home. We feel peaceful here.
I can never forget the first day I was here in New Orleans, the very first day. I was so surprised compared to other states. I lived in Los Angeles, New York, and many other places. But the first day I was here, I was walking on the French Quarter, and people waved at me and say hello. That caught my attention. That completely, I said, boy, I forgot for a moment that I was in the United States. That'll give you an idea how I feel about New Orleans. I forgot that I was in the United States. I completely forgot. And that's what it is. Friendly city, friendly people. We have a lot of problems, a lot of crime, a lot of educational problems, poverty, whatever. But the most important thing about New Orleans is friendly. It's about family, and the values about family here are pretty strong.
Well, I am going to repair and rebuild, and I did have flood insurance, and I did have homeowners insurance, and I don't plan to sink as much money into it this time as they had in previous years. So I'm going to make it a bare bones down at the bottom, but enough to make it livable and fun to live in.
I started school back up in August. Most likely, I was at Delgado during the summer taking summer club courses at the community college, and most likely end up at UNO, University of New Orleans, and work and try to stack my money while I'm young, because I'm not gonna be doing construction for a minute. It's just my little summer hustle, staying out of trouble.
I love New Orleans. That's all I can say. I love the people. I love the surroundings.
I think to leave here and not try to be here and help rebuild is too much going along with what we already have, which is a throwaway society. And I think we need to change that. I think that, and what better way to change that than to come back and to a place that has done so much for you.
One thing about New Orleans, once you taste it, you belong to New Orleans. That's it. There's no other way around it. It's just the way it is.
When I went to Texas, it was okay, but it felt like a vacation, and I couldn't wait to get back to my home, to my city. And but I can't just single things out. I love everything about it. I love everything about the city.
I love this town. The people, the atmosphere, is really what makes the town special. The fact that we're the second oldest town in the United States, that helps a little bit too. But I couldn't leave her. She needs me now more than ever, and she needs the people who love her to come home.
I love it.
I love it. That's all she's got to say.
As our drive leaves Mid-City, we must wait and see what happens to one of America's oldest and most culturally, socially, and architecturally diverse cities. The magnitude of devastation caused in New Orleans by the failed levees ranks at the top of the list of major catastrophic events experienced in America. Over 1,000 people lost their lives to the flood. Thousands upon thousands of others were displaced and must endure the challenges of rebuilding their lives, homes, and communities. The people of New Orleans will never forget the outpouring of support from people and organizations across the world. They will also never forget the pledge by President George W. Bush in September of 2005 to do whatever it takes to rebuild New Orleans.
That makes it difficult for me personally to see the struggle, not just us, but to see the struggle around us. Everybody trying to keep up with the situation, come out of it, at least back to normal. And that is a challenge.
Well, I've seen this city capture people on vacation and never let them go except to go home and get their stuff. And they've had to move back, and they've been here for 20, 30 years since.
We can spend billions of dollars in Iraq rebuilding cities for them to blow up, but you have the most beautiful city in the world that they can't do nothing for.
First came back into town, which was like 3 weeks after the storm, there was still water all over our streets, and it stunk so bad. I've never smelled anything like this before.
Like a foot deep of water just in the street,
yeah.
Not in the house.
Not in the house.
And I think it had just been out of the house a very short time.
Yeah, maybe a couple
so
days.
Wet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was awful. The place looked wrecked, and there was sludge and all types of stuff in our house.
Started school back up in August. Most likely, I was at Delgado during the summer taking summer club courses at the community college, and most likely end up at UNO, University of New Orleans.
For more information, log on to timecode.NOLA.com.
What was that?
Oh my God!
Oh. It was a taste explosion.
New from Uniburger, the Mouth Buster. More than a burger, it's a taste explosion. genuine Oklahoma City beef, jalapeno pepper jack cheese, smothered in Nagasaki sauce.
You can see your husband now.
It's i.e. delicious. The Mouth Buster. Get a second burger for just $2 more. It's a taste explosion. Mouth Buster from Uniburger.
Timecode NOLA. The New Orleans Independent Film Program.
My blood type is O negative. I'm a universal donor.
Here's to that blood money.
My best friend is a 15-year-old kid.
Are you a relative of Andy's?
I'm a teacher of his. You gotta talk to her. If not, it's like holding in a big.
What you got planned for today?
I don't know yet.
That was f***ing awesome!
What's your name? I'm Mega Mike 5000. I met a girl the other night.
I leap before I look.
So you're Ashley's new guy.
She can make a brave man cowardly. I'll see you in the sunlight.
Yoakum's the master of disaster.
Do you know what he's up to?
If I told you, you'd be an accomplice.
You gotta get lost to find yourself, right?
Oh.
He thinks if he drives me home, I'll let him screw me.
Again.
You look like but you still gotta straighten things out around here. The place is gonna fall apart.
Hey, what's your problem, man?
It's like anything. You gotta pick the golden peanuts out of the pile.
It can be hell.
I might come back. I might not.
It's rare blood. Nothing like a little industrial spelunking to clear the mind of life's problems.
It's better to be born lucky, better to know the way. Wake up every morning and know that it's your day.
What the hell are sundogs, anyway? A mistaken heart fools even the sharpest mind.
Who said that?
How do you know I didn't say it?
Because it doesn't involve.
So Mike, what are we doing today?
We're gonna go check out a bomb shelter.
There's an abandoned bomb shelter in Lakeview, and it's been abandoned since the early 80s, and it was built in the late 50s or maybe 1960. I don't really know, so I'm being real general with the facts.
All right.
But no one's been in it for a long time, and since Katrina, the door has been wide open on it, or at least the door is wide open on it now. So we're gonna check it out. I don't know what to expect, what to find. There's not been anyone down there for so long that what I hope I don't find is anything dead, and even worse, I hope to not find anything living. Okay, cool. Now we can't be locked in unless someone has bolt cutters, which we do. So there's evidence of people being in here since it's been abandoned, but it's still really gross. But it makes it a lot less scary, being that it is daytime. Although I do wish I had a freaking hazmat suit on.
It might.
Yeah, I'll take hazmat. This water, I feel like once we get in it, this water is stink. Oh man. It's gonna be at least as deep as this.
How deep is that?
The floor is over here. Can't really tell what the floor is. There's a boat. Here's a desk. So this gives you the idea of the water that we're inside of here. There's a desk right there. And obviously, okay, the floor underneath my feet, even though I'm standing on the floor, it's still moving a little bit. It might be bricks. I don't know what it is. But shh. Okay.
What'd you hear?
I don't know. But anyway. Okay, so here's looks like some office cubicles. This is weird. Look at this blob of fungus. The ground is just covered in debris.
What the hell is that? Look at that little glass jar.
It's like some jeans in a jar. It's on a little ledge. Oh god, I'm constantly kicking things in the water,
Yeah.
and the air actually seems thin in here. I mean, I'm obviously nervous, but the air in here seems thinner. This is the inner sanctum. Look at this. This is tough to breathe in here. The oxygen level is, I don't know what it is, but it's very stagnant.
It's enough.
Imagine being in a room underground that hasn't had, fresh air in it in 30 years.
I mean, I don't know if it's my mind doing it to me, but I feel like a little bit slightly nauseated already.
Okay, this is a regular chair height here. Look how much I just stirred up. Natural disaster shelters, major emergency log. Whoa, I just kicked something gross. Some of these schools don't even exist anymore. And then look, here's some graffiti probably from someone who floated back here on the P-Rock. KP's penis, Brian's penis. There's two comparisons. Here's KP, a rather sizable member. Brian's penis. It's very small. And then here's dead body on second floor. And then a pentagram. So, does anyone have the balls to go to the second floor? The air is really gross up here. Ooh. The reason why I think the air is so bad up here is because the water level probably comes higher than the stairway at times. And this is sealed off. This is really gross, and I'm really starting to have trouble with breathing. Yeah, there is a Christmas star here.
So that's good.
Yeah. Yes, this is a men's bunker. I wonder if any teens have had sex in here. This place is pretty big. And this is the ether place. Or dextran injection, I don't know what that is. It's probably some kind of wacky drug that no one uses anymore. For intravenous use, we should probably shoot some of this. Yeah. No, we should probably shoot it up in our veins. Here's the operating room. This is gross. This is like Saw or something.
Oh,
Jesus
Christ.
Oh man. God.
This place is
This
gnarly.
disgusting.
What's
Yeah,
over
we're gonna
there?
dig down that
Yeah.
way. Alright, might as well. I get more comfortable as I spend more time down here.
Here's a little ice cream machine or iced tea machine.
Oh, gross. Look at that meat slicer.
It's like, you look at this kind of and it makes you wonder, it's like, if there was an attack, who would want to survive this? This is where you'd eat lunch every day.
Oh, I forgot that we have to go through the water again. Gross. Alright. Yeah, there's something here. It's like a, oh, this is like a exit authorized personnel only. Okay, yeah, this is like a submarine door here. But then look, it says filtered supply, air for emergency only, atomic attack, plutonium filters inside tunnel. So this was the real deal. This was like, the Russians are bombing us. Oh, this is really gross. Now this, I hear echo.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can see light. Whoa!
Are you alright?
Yeah. Okay, so this looks like it might be a ladder or a stairway.
There's daylight.
And seeing this light here and breathing this air that's trickling down here, I just got water on my head, that's gross. But seeing this light is reassuring after being in this cave for 45 minutes. So let's head back out. Right. Here's a broken light bulb filled with mercury, probably. A little fluorescent tube that could easily slash open my waders and make it really uncomfortable for me down here.
Michael,
Not that it's...
What would you do if you fell over right now?
I'd get out of here as soon as possible. Well, look at this glass room. We're gonna find out what this is now. It's like a can of worms you open up. Frequency shift converter. Navy Department Bureau of Ships. Oh, it's a fax machine. Times Facsimile Corporation. Alright, and over here we got a little Captain Black. Chewing tobacco. Large jar of it. The floor is like completely... This is a recording studio where Ray Charles made many hits. So, as far as like things to do in New Orleans that are exciting and adventurous, this one was very exciting and adventurous and really gross and creepy too. But as much as we've enjoyed the close to an hour we've spent down here, it's time to go back to the surface. It's really gross.
They've had press conferences. I'm sick of the press conferences. For God's sake, shut up and say something.
We are essentially 40 feet underground, or more, in New Orleans. And right now, we're going to turn off all of our lights, hold our breaths, and remain perfectly still. Okay, you ready?
I'm Richie, and this is Jonathon Jahnke, and this is Mike Kennedy.
and me and Jonathan are Scrub Brush Productions, and Mike is Evolution Syndicate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we work together a lot on stuff.
Yeah.
We just got the studio space. It's at Colton School, and we're building out a small sound stage with a green screen. And we have office space. Eventually we're going to have editing suites and also like a post-sound suite too. Over the past couple of years, we've done mostly music videos, and we've done some documentary work and also some short narratives. But I guess what we tried to do was like focus on the concepts, and we figured that because we don't necessarily have a whole lot of money to spend on the production, that if we come up with a solid concept, that it will make the video or the documentary or the short narrative good.
We both came down here in 2000 to go to film school, and we went to UNO for film school, and then after that, John started working on, big films a little bit before I did, and then we both started working on films, but we got kind of tired of the, like you said before, just the fact that you can either do one or the other. You can't do anything creative or on your own if you're working on a film, and a lot of times you're working like a small position, or you have a really specific job that doesn't allow you a lot of creative freedom.
I mean, yeah, you learn technical skills,
Yeah,
which are invaluable for like your own stuff, but it's still at the end of the day, it's not necessarily anything that's like there's no like outside of the cash, and I guess like what you learn or whatever. There's no gratification to it, Whereas like when you go out and you do your own small things, when you get the finished product, you're like, man, I shot that.
I make a living working on regular movies, like worked on Benjamin Button, I worked on Deja Vu and the big stuff, and that's how I make a living, but that kind of stuff is not the part of my life that I like to, I do that just so that I can do my own projects, just so that's just to pay the rent and stuff, and then, I like to work on, smaller music videos, and I'm trying to start doing some commercials and stuff like that and do my own projects.
I think that that's the reason that everybody gets involved in filmmaking in the first place. And I mean, we all at one time or another have worked, union jobs, big features and stuff. And I mean, the thing is that some of us do more than others. But while you're doing that stuff, it's pretty much a choice. You're either working on a film for a film, or you're making your own films. And it's hard to do both. Mike does it a lot, but also at the same time, like he
He's got a lot of energy.
He has a lot more energy than most of us do. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I think everybody originally got into film business because they wanted to make films, and some people, they'll get worn out and they'll decide that this is good enough, this is what they want to do. But then, there's other people that say, this is the reason I got into it, and it's like, if I'm not making something, then I'm not doing what I want to do, what my original intention was.
So you're a filmmaker, huh? You sit around with your partners talking about, you gonna shoot this or I'm gonna shoot that. You ain't shooting shit. You gotta finish the sound bites, and I need ADR and my soundtrack music ain't right. You ain't making movies if nobody ain't seeing them. Get the done, you bullshitting. We need your film. Send them in today. Timecode NOLA, you heard me?
Timecode NOLA is supported in part by the Louisiana Division of the Arts Council of New Orleans, Cox Communications, and by people like you.
In 1891, Thomas Edison invented the motion picture camera. In 1896, the first permanent venue for showing movies in the United States opened its doors on Canal Street. In 2003, Timecode NOLA, the definitive New Orleans independent film program, debuts. Timecode NOLA, check us out every Thursday night, 7 p.m., Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m., only on Cox 10, you heard, man?
They said that my experiments were against the laws of nature.
All the things that have been going on in this city since I've been off the air. They could have used some more Gusman solutions. Bring back somewhat of my intellect to this city. Friday nights at 10:30, only on Cox 10.